Good morning, everyone. Grant, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Sure. Heavenly Father, we just take a moment to pause and thank you for all we have for the period of Thanksgiving and as we have the true meaning that we all exist for. We pray as always for our family and friends, for the county, our board, and people that we serve. We pray that you'll watch over and care for us as we leave this place safely today. In Christ's name.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lance, would you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Harville?
Here.
Commissioner Pitts?
Here.
Commissioner Miller?
Here.
Commissioner Toller?
Here.
Commissioner Gould?
Here. Having a quorum, I'll call the meeting to order. First item, approval of minutes. We have two sets. Regular board meeting on November the 12th. Everybody had a chance to look at that. Those. Any additions or deletions?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Commissioner Harville?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Toller?
Yes.
Commissioner Gould?
Yes.
We also had a special board meeting on November the 24th rather, I'm sorry. Had a chance to look those over. Any additions or deletions?
I move we accept this group.
I'll say.
Commissioner Harville?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Toller?
Yes.
Commissioner Gould?
Okay, public comments. Any public? Committee reports. Okay, we'll keep going. Building permits.
Yeah, we've got three. The first one is parcel 0131004443E. It's for a mobile home. There's no subdivision, no floodplain. Recommend for approval. The second one is parcel 0221009931. It's for a modular home and a pole barn. No subdivision, no floodplain. Recommend it for approval. And then the third one is parcel 0128000371 paying 10. It's for a mobile home, no subdivision, no floodplain. Recommend for approval.
While we're looking those over, do you have anything you need to
Not really.
influence us about?
No. Probably next board meeting, I'll probably be working on some of my resolutions, my motor fuel stuff for next year. Get it ready, get it on the agenda, get it approved next year.
And I continue to hear probably these days, just good,
That's it.
good reports about you. So,
Good to hear.
Good work.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a good crew and they do a good job, so.
Thank you for, that brush pile.
Oh, yeah, hopefully get that cleaned up here. For the end of the year.
It's just such an eyesore.
Oh, yeah.
questions on the building permits? Get a motion to approve, please.
Make a motion. I'll second
Commissioner Harville,
it. Yes.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Toller,
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
Have nothing under old business, new business, approve payment of bills. Everybody had a chance to look at the bill list. Any questions or concerns?
I make a motion to. I'll second it.
Commissioner Harville,
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Toller,
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
Max, I have 3 additional legal bills that you guys have been proving separately. The 3 legal bills total $8,462.
That's a little low, isn't it? That'll be the last round for this year's budget, right?
There could be a few more where anything incurred this fiscal year
Right.
gets to be turned in by December 15th. So we still could have some more.
All right, I make a motion that we approve payment of those additional bills.
I'll second.
What's the total on that now for, off the top of your head?
With these bills added into it, it's at $152,112.
All right.
Fair vote.
Pardon?
You ready for a vote?
Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Harville,
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Toller,
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
Okay, item B, selection of RFP for circuit clerk scanning. You're up.
Hi,
Hi.
good morning, gentlemen. I passed out to you beforehand 2 bids that I narrowed it down to. So we received a total of 9 bids for this project. It took me a little bit longer to bring it to you because I wanted to do a little vetting of the companies. I actually took a trip out to one of them. I was able to make that trip before Thanksgiving. So I looked at a location and we settled on Excella and Bradford Group. Each company has its pros and cons. I'll narrow it down for you. As you can see, one is more expensive than the other. The Excella, which is the $330,000 bid, $330,911.84. They are in Illinois. They are the industry leader when it comes to working with circuit clerks' offices. They've been doing that for many years, and they've done a lot of circuit clerks' offices across Illinois. They're located in Rantoul, Illinois, on the old Air Force Base, so they have a very secure building. It's tornado-proof, fire-proof. It used to be the old Fire Academy building, so the contents within the building are very secure. They have a DCFS contract, but one of the most important things that really will show the difference in pricing is that they have established already the protocol to communicate with our court operating system, which is PC Gyms. So they've already done the front end of the work to be able to transfer the data into our software, and they've done that with all of the circuit clerks' offices. The cons with that company, in my opinion, is they're having staffing issues, as many companies across the state and country are. So they're resorting to hiring temp employees, where, in the contrary, the Bradford Group is actually choosing to pay their staff more upfront so that they can acquire staff and maintain staff. So their hourly rates are higher than, say, Excella is paying. The other thing about Excella is not only there's some staffing issues, but they also are winning all the bids. So there's a lot of work coming into Excella Corporation right now from other circuit clerks' offices whose counties have chosen to use their ARPA money in a similar way. On the flip side of that, you have the Bradford Group. The Bradford Group is also in Illinois. They are the only company in the industry who actually went through a vetting process with the federal government, the FBI. So they spent a lot of money to set themselves up securely. That isn't to say that the other company isn't secure, it's just to say that they got the accreditation, which is kind of common in the field. They do not, again, don't use temps, and they therefore increase the hourly wage for their employees. But again, they're more expensive, and what you're paying for is full-time employees, not temps, and you're also paying for them to set up the system to communicate with PC gyms. So essentially, if we were to go with them, we would be setting up the protocol for them to be able to enter the circuit clerk office, the circuit clerk industry, because no one else has taken a chance to do that. So the two companies that's them in a nutshell. But because we are a small county, and this I think is a once in a lifetime opportunity, God willing, we won't have another pandemic on our hands, where we will see ARPA funding in Union County to the extent that we're seeing it. I think the best thing to do is to spend our money wisely, which means to make sure that it can go across to as many departments in the county government as we can. So with that said, I like both companies. Both great companies to work for, great security, all of the things that we would look for, but one is less expensive than the other at $50,000, essentially. So I recommend that for the betterment of the county that we go with the company that would cost us less money to do it, knowing that what we know about how they spend their money on employees, and keeping in mind that it might take a little longer to get the work done because they have so much work in front of them. So.
Do you have estimated completion dates for either company?
Well, the Bradford Group, which is more expensive, will take longer, and they tell you that up front because they do have those FBI protocols that they have to adhere to. So there's an extra level of security that keeps them accredited. So they're going to take probably about a year. They're going to come in increments. We'll send the stuff out. They'll finish it. They'll vet it. Then we'll vet it, and then they'll come back. As far as Excel is concerned, in the original bid, they said that it takes them like 2 months because this is their job. You know, they've got it. But when we went to visit, they're in a skeleton crew. Essentially, we went there on I think it was a Tuesday, all day. And we arrived about 10, and I think I saw a total of 15 people in this humongous warehouse working. So what could have been 2 months may take us, in realistic, what they're saying and what I think is going to happen is probably going to be about a year. So you're looking about a year to finish both projects. They're staying within 2 quarters, but I find that a little hard to believe after seeing how many people were working there. But I don't think the work will be subpar. I just think it's going to take longer because people don't have employees.
Did we have an estimate to start with on this?
Yes, we had an original estimate with Excella when I first reached out and realized we needed a bid. And what we did was we went in and did a spreadsheet where we counted out boxes. And what we did for the RFP was because Excella sends you their own boxes, they give you boxes, and you have to put a fist in. So it was easier to do a real accurate count with Excella on the first bid because of that. But when I went to do an RFP, no other company provides you with their own boxes, right? So I needed to expand the potential amount of files to 1,800 to bid out because of the different size of boxes that people use. It could change the cost. So we inflated a little bit the amount of potential file boxes or files in boxes that we may need for the RFP to make sure that we didn't under ask, because I didn't want to find us in a situation where we had an RFP for $128,000 based on the boxes that I had for the Excella conversation, and it ended up being, well, actually, that's 2,000 boxes, and then we would be in trouble with asking. But each company will charge based on actuals. So it's not going to be a flat fee. So if you agree to this amount, it'll be on actually what they receive and work on.
So you're not concerned on the help situation?
I mean, I have concerns about it. I don't think it's unique to that industry. I think it's across industries. Nobody can find anybody. I mean, McDonald's doesn't open all the time in some places. So yeah, there are some concerns about it. But I don't know if it's enough, if it's a $50,000 concern with regards to security. It's more an issue of how quickly things will get done. When you have 3 people working on it as opposed to 15 people working on it, it's obviously going to have a marked difference on how quickly it gets completed. Now, again, they're saying 2 quarters, but based on what I saw with my own eyes, my concern with Excel is it'll be longer than that. But if you're not in a rush, it's gonna get done.
I'm
But,
not in a rush, I just want to make sure that, assuming if we agree to go into a contract with them, and God forbid, once we do that, Angie, on this money, we have X number of years to spend the money.
yeah,
We're not gonna go past that, or.
I would hope not. We still have 3 more years.
Yeah.
well, and I think Tyler's here today, so when I get to the point where we write the contract, there are some things that I'll talk to him about making sure we put in there, which will have deliverable timelines. So I've already told them that. Like, I'm gonna have an expectation that this many boxes are gonna be completed in the first round so that I can vet your process.
Yeah.
And then I'll write into the contract, if I see problems at that point, we're gonna have an out clause.
I think we need to do that for sure.
Yes,
If they're having health problems I have no problem with that. It's just, I don't want to get.
that's the only benefit to me. One of the biggest benefits with the Bradford Group is because the Bradford Group, just a little history, they were the ones who actually created the rolling racks that we use. They invented them, built them, that was their jam. So they were the industry leader in brick and mortar file containment. And then they transferred over to paperless. And so when they did that, they were really mindful of it. So they have an established long-term employee base. And what they do is they go onto sites like in Minneapolis, the Archdiocese of Chicago. They have huge Rush Medical System hospital. They go to these places and they bring in the stuff. And so they have people who have been doing these jobs. They're an old family-run company that got bought out. So that's why they spend so much investment in their employees. When you're looking at Excella, they're in the middle of nowhere. Like, they're in Rantoul, they're on an old Air Force base. The town went from, I think it was 50,000 people lived in Rantoul, and then they took away the Air Force base and they're down to 5,000. So, and there's nothing around it. So finding employees that are gonna wanna stay for less money is very hard. So they're having a really hard time recruiting, where Bradford is up north in Elmhurst, so there's a bigger population to pull from. And if you pay a high enough wage, and give them benefits, they're gonna stick around. So you have a different, just a different employee base, really. But you're paying for that. You're gonna pay $50,000 to have those employees, and you're gonna pay $50,000 for them to establish the relationship with our CMS provider. So it really just comes down to,
Did you ask them for their financials, both these companies?
Yeah, they provided financials. Bradford Group was bought out by a multinational about, I want to say 5 years ago, and they've recruited from people within the industry. And the same thing happened to Excella. And Excella had a staff of guys who'd been doing sales and had won the bids for DCFS contracts. They've got the in at the state level, Excella, frankly. They do a lot of SIU stuff. They have the in with the state, so they're the state-run contract. They've been able to get all of the counties for years because of that, and they all make, they're all surviving and doing well. But this money has brought an influx of work to them, because counties our size normally wouldn't have $300,000 to spend on something like this, where all these little counties have the money now, and they're all going to the industry leader. But a lot of the companies that are trying to get the business outside of the two that I brought in front of you, in my opinion, A, don't have the greatest established financials, and B, they don't have the security protocols in place, and they just don't have the system that I think would make the most sense for us going forward. So it's up to you I'm okay with either decision, truthfully.
Well, I think, if you're good with it, that's all I need to hear, so obviously there's quite a big price difference, but, anybody else have any questions about this?
Yeah, I've been to Rantoul, there's not a lot there.
No, there isn't. It's a lovely town, and the people were wonderful. It's hard to get people to work.
Truck dealers there.
Yeah, there's a lot of industry, and that's one of the biggest problems. They're competing with the trucking companies and those places for employees who are paying higher wage.
It's like in the middle of a cornfield.
It literally is in the middle. I drove through the cornfield. It's about as middle of the cornfield as you can get.
I was
So,
glad to see the hills when I come back from
Me
work.
too. me too. I like my rocks. Makes me more comfortable.
I'll make the motion that we approve RFP for Excella on the recommendation of the circuit clerk for the circuit clerk scanning. Second.
Commissioner Harville.
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Toller.
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
Thank you.
Next item, item C, resolution appointing member of Southern Seven Board of Health. This is a lay member appointment. They've given us the name of Dr. Cameron Addy. He's the general surgeon out here at Union County Hospital. It's a 3-year term, which would expire June 30th, 24. Anybody have any questions about that? I had the first board meeting on Thursday. He's done surgery on me a couple times. I like the guy, so, but anyway. I make a motion, the resolution appointing member of Southern Seven Board of Health to appoint, Dr. Cameron Addy as a layperson, term ending on June 30th, 2024. Second.
Commissioner Harville.
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Toller.
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
Last item, fiscal year 2021 budget amendment. Angie, you want to, I mean, this is typical every year, pretty much, that we do this.
Yep, this year we had quite a bit of cleanup to do. If you can see, it's almost 3 full pages. So basically, at the end of every year, we budget by departments, but we also budget by account numbers. So we tell office holders that as long as they stay within their department's budget, that they can spend, let's say, more on office supplies, less on travel. So at the end of the year, we move budget money so that they're not over budget on each of those individual lines. And then it always balances out to 0. So this year, normally it's just expenses that we're moving around. This year, because of federal grants, there's some revenue that we had to increase. Obviously, we didn't know about the ARPA money until after it was already, after we'd already done the budget. So we have to increase a few revenues, but at the same time, you decrease your expenses. So it nets out to 0.
I make a motion, we approve the fiscal year 2021 budget amendment as written.
I'll second.
Commissioner Harville.
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Toller.
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
Yes.
I think we want to go into executive session just briefly for litigation matters.
Make a motion.
Yeah, I make a motion to do that, I'm
Sorry.
Second.
Commissioner Harville.
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
sorry. Yes,
Commissioner Toller.
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
we'll take a brief 5-10 minute recess.